Halo, gue kakak dari Slang. Selamat Hari Orang Utan Sedunia. Orang utan, rumahnya itu lagi terancam. Rumahnya saudara kita lagi terancam, mau digusur gitu. What do you do kalau dengar saudara rumahnya mau digusur? Ya kita protect saudara kita. Semoga kita semua bisa lebih memperhatikan lagi saudara kita yang ada di hutan dengan tidak membuat habis hutan gitu. Itu rumah mereka.
Hai guys, selamat Hari Orang Utan Sedunia. Ini orang utannya dadah.
Selamat Hari Orang Utan Internasional.
Selamat Hari Orang Utan Sedunia.
Hai teman-teman, gimana tadi webinarnya? Semoga semakin menyadarkan kita semua betapa pentingnya untuk melestarikan hutan hujan dan orang utan. Mau kemana? Jangan kemana-mana dong, karena setelah ini akan ada sesi wild streaming lagi. Tapi sebelumnya, kita nonton video ini dulu yuk. Oh iya, untuk teman-teman yang sudah registrasi screening orang utan Jungle School, acaranya akan dimulai sesaat lagi loh. Jadi, jangan kemana-mana, tetap di Hangout with Orangutans.
Orangutan Jungle School. In the heart of Borneo is the most unique school on the planet. It all starts with the rescues. And then classes begin. There are falls and failures. Some lessons are scary, but friendship makes it better. And of course, there's bucket loads of comedy. There is love here. And heartbreak. There's drama and unexpected danger. Remarkable reunions. And the world's only albino orangutan. The future for these orphaned orangutans is a journey towards freedom. The stakes are high in the wildest series you'll ever see. Orangutan Jungle School.
Orangutan veterinarian to suddenly be working on this big production?
You know, Andrea, when the filming started, I just like the youngest veterinarian in here. It's just something that I've never prepared. When I finished my veterinary school, I just like being a little bit shocked when there is a filming crew coming, and then every single movement and every single what you say it's recorded. It's just like something you never prepare, right? It make you nervous, actually, like really nervous, because oh my God, they see how I move, they see they recorded what I say, like something like that. I mean, like, yeah. But the thing is, they are not the new person in this industry, so they know how to make us really, I mean, like keep our daily routine, and then they just like didn't want to disrupt us that much. So for the second question, actually we didn't change our schedule that much. They just like following, but mostly they are following our schedule, daily routine. And if there is something that important, and it's not like, I mean, like disturbing our orangutan and also our daily routine, they maybe they want us to like make some, you know, some reschedule for something. Yeah, but it's mostly they just like following us all the time.
Okay, so even for a show as big as this, it wasn't very disruptive at all to the orangutans.
Yeah.
It's good to hear. I want to ask you so much more, and I'm sure everyone else wants to hear a lot more. But that's going to have to wait. We'll be back for a full behind-the-scenes Q&A with you and the show's producers and 2 of the cinematographers. But first, we are going to bring you episode 2 of season 1 of Orangutan Jungle School. Moving on up. See you guys soon.
Yeah, enjoy.
I hope you all enjoyed the episode of Orangutan Jungle School as much as I did. I know none of you probably want to hear from me right now. You just want to know what's happening with Clara and Clarita. But now, that's enough about how you can watch more of the show. Here we have an exclusive treat for you all. An interview with the people behind the show. You've already met Vet Vivi, but I have 3 more very special guests I would like to introduce you to. First off, we have our show's creator, the heart behind Orangutan Jungle School, one of the executive producers of the show. She works for NHNZ, or Natural History New Zealand, which is the company behind OJS, and she's been with them for nearly 2 decades. And for over half of that, she's been involved with us here at the Boss Foundation. She first came to work with us in 2009 when she was working on another series called Orangutan Island. For that, she filmed 26 episodes for Animal Planet back in 2011. Lucky for us, she couldn't stay away, and here we are today with Orangutan Jungle School. This is Judith Curran. Hi, Judith. Can you hear me? Oh, do we have Judith here? It's always a little tricky with the internet connection on these. You think you know Zoom, but then it throws another curveball at you. Well,
is that working now?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay. Right.
Hit your little video button, bottom left. Hopefully it works. Any luck? Judith? There we have her. Welcome, Judith. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Love the setup. Like your own little furry, fluffy orangutan jungle school down in New Zealand.
Yeah, I've created my own jungle in my lounge room.
Wonderful. I need to decorate my entire house like that.
Yeah.
So you feel close to Kalimantan. Well, thank you for joining us. Before we go more into your questions, I also want to introduce some of our other panelists. Supporting Judith in the production of Orangutan Jungle School, we have Alex Hubert. He is a freelance cinematographer, but has been working closely with NHNZ for over 30 years. During his time filming Orangutan Jungle School at our centers, he became known for shooting from above as he scaled treetops nearly gracefully as an orangutan to get the perfect shot. Hello, Alex, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Hi, Andrea. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Great to see you. Great to have you here digitally. Oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I cannot wait to ask you more questions. But first, we have one more person in our lineup. Also a cinematographer on Orangutan Jungle School, we have Bjorn Vaughn. Bjorn has not only helped to film Orangutan Jungle School, but has been part of the Boss Foundation story for many years. In 2009, he co-founded Borneo Productions International, an environmental film company based in Kalimantan, specifically Palangkaraya, the city that is home to our Niara Menteng Orangutan Rehabilitation Center. He first collaborated with us in 2012 to film the release of orangutans to the Bukit Batikap Protection Forest. He also is still in Indonesia, proud to call it his home to this very day and work together with people here to make amazing content that comes bringing orangutans from the forest to your screen. Welcome, Bjorn.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you for having me on. Very excited to be here. How's the sound? Can you hear me?
You're clear.
Cool. Thank you.
Everyone's clear. It's great having you all together. I feel like OJS is being filmed all over again. But as we don't have too much time and we have so many questions, thank you to everyone who participated and registered and sent in your questions for the team. I want to dive straight into this so we can give everyone a really good look at what it takes to make Orangutan Jungle School. To start, I have a question for Judith.
I'm ready.
Judith, could you explain to us how you got, awesome. How did you get the idea to make Orangutan Jungle School? And really, what was your aim for the program? What sort of reaction did you want to get out of people?
Okay, so as you know, I started working with Boss in 2009, and I started with filming the orangutans who graduated from jungle school and went to the islands. And that was such an incredible story, but I also wanted to go back and sort of film the whole process right from the beginning. And so, so I was incredibly lucky to be able to do that, to go back and start a new series and, a couple of years ago. And so, look, I mean, the thing is, we have to be in television where, we have to be able to sell our shows to a broadcaster. That's one of the key things, because it costs quite a lot of money to make these sort of television shows. But at the same time, I always had this kind of like, I know that this is going to be one of the most incredible ways of getting the story out there about Boss and, what these people do, and, telling this story in a very entertaining way and introducing the characters almost like a drama series in a way, where the people around the world just fall in love with the characters. It just seemed like a really, really good way to sort of get people to understand, that the issues behind what's happening in Indonesia, but in a way that was very easy for them to take on board, and people would go out and do their own research and sort of find out what's happening. But, I feel like we've helped the cause immensely in telling the story this way.
I completely agree. I'm so happy you chose to tell our story, the story of orangutans in Indonesia and their struggles. You mentioned you thought it would be this good story to sell, and obviously it's so successful now. There's fans around the globe that are in love with these orangutans, with Benny, Valentino, Utris, all of them. But when you first filmed it, was it a hard sell or an easy sell to these broadcasters? Were they receptive for Orange Stars?
Well, to be honest, the first series that I, which went right back to Orangutan Island, that took me 3 years to get up with Animal Planet. I mean, that's how long it usually takes. And, you know, and then after we finished that, and I kept going, I haven't finished telling this story yet. I want to keep going. And, you know, and I sort of kept plugging away. So yeah, it does take a while, but eventually, you know, once you kind of, you know, present them with the sizzle tape, which is what we call it in the industry, they just like go, actually, you know, those characters are so extraordinary. And I mean, people just fell in love with it straight away. And to be honest, going forward into, you know, potential new projects as well, it has not been a hard sell at all, because, you know, what happens at, you know, with the Boss sanctuaries is completely unique in the world. And, you know, the characters are so extraordinary. So, you know, we're just waiting for the borders to open again so we can come back and keep filming.
We are too, Judith. We love sharing the story. Well, so during the actual process, though, of filming, not, I guess the preparation or the selling afterwards, what would you identify as the biggest challenge in making a documentary series in the middle of the jungle with stars who can't really speak English, as in the orangutans?
Well, to be honest, when you know, the very first time I went to start my first show there, I was like, I had pitched it beautifully to all these broadcasters, and I was thinking, actually, I'm really not sure what's going to happen. But what was interesting was that right from the get-go, like from the first day of filming, it was almost like the orangutans were actually like, they should really be credited, you know, with the scripting, because they would come up with the stories that we would never have even thought of. And, you know, it's all very well for me to write down on a piece of paper, oh, we'll follow this guy and this guy and this, you know, we'll, you know, do this particular idea. But really what happens with filming there on a daily basis is that they come up with stories that we could never even imagine. And so, so that's kind of like one of the most satisfying aspects of our job. Like, you know, it's like, there's never any lack of drama. And, but, you know, of course, you know, filming in the jungle's tricky. It's, you know, it's hot, it's sweaty, and the guys will tell you some more stories about what happens with sweat when it gets into the cameras. And, you know, but, you know, but the people that we work with at Boss as well are just such a pleasure to work with. And so they just, you know, help us make anything happen. I mean, it feels like we integrate right into the sort of, you know, the family of what's happening there. And it just, you know, then things just happen really well.
Yeah. You definitely are part of the Boss family, Judith, you and the whole crew. You mentioned the guys might have some stories, so I would love to throw this same ball over to them, maybe starting with Alex. Alex, what would you say was your biggest challenge in filming orangutans in Borneo?
Well, as Judith mentions, sweat is an issue. And that's one of the things that, of course, you can't show on television, is the fact you can't show the environment in any way. That's the hardest thing. And of course, you're dealing with heat in the mid-30s, humidity, 80, 90% humidity. And you've got all the issues of other animals in the jungle, not the orangutans, but you've got snakes and creepy crawlies and mosquitoes. And, you know, so there's an endless amount of things that can affect you as a cameraman. And as well, you're carrying a huge amount of gear. So, and then when it comes to the orangutans, of course, they're up in the trees and quite often we're on the ground, and quite often you'll feel a trickle down the back of your neck and one of them's weighing on you. You know, that's one of the other things you've got to put up with. But in terms of sweat, I mean, we are drinking 6, 7, 8 liters of water a day. And of course that all comes out of you. And when you're filming, of course, that gets, if you're leaning over the camera, that pours all over the camera. And so the first thing we do when we get to Borneo is we spend the best part of a day taping up the cameras. So we have quite a few rolls of gaffer tape, and we literally cover them in gaffer tape so that when we sweat into them, the idea is that it just falls off it like a big umbrella. It's not always successful. We've lost a few cameras with sweat, but yeah, that's probably the physical environment is probably the hardest aspect of it as a cameraman, for sure.
Is that gaffer tape casing that you guys make, is that standard process, or was there like a learning curve that you had to figure out these sort of hacks to film in Borneo?
That's a good question, because I mean, the issue, of course, with these cameras is they've got buttons all over them, so you know you need to be able to access them. So yes, it's you have to be quite nimble in terms of where you attach the gaffer tape, what buttons you enclose and which ones you don't. So yeah, it was a process of elimination. Yeah, we probably went through a few iterations of it. Yeah, like we got quite good at it at the end, didn't we, Bjorn? With the help of our assistants.
Times you covered the wrong button.
Yeah, well, you don't want to cover up the on-off button. That's the main one you don't want to cover up.
Alex, the story was that I think it started with my camera started to malfunction, right?
Mm. Yes.
And, so it happened, and I think initially we blamed one of the previous shows on the fact that it wasn't working anymore, because my camera was previously used by the ocean.
Yes.
Blue Ocean, no, what was it called? It was another NHNZ production. And it was out on the open ocean. So Alex convinced me that that it was the previous show that was to blame, because obviously the circuits had been corroding from the salty sea air, you know, having been out for months at a time in the ocean. So okay, I thought that was the answer, and but it kept happening over and over again. I think it must have happened about 4 times. Three times, 4. I think we had a total of 4 times, maybe 3 or 4, and you know the lengths we had to go through to salvage the situation. We had to fly in a spare camera from Jakarta. We had to send the old one back to New Zealand and get it repaired. So, and all this happening, of course, during the production, but it always happened at a time when we had like a couple of days down, or maybe at the end of a block of filming. So I think we were lucky and we're always able to deal with it. But finally, when after the camera came back for the 3rd or 4th time, and I was out filming and it happened again, the camera conked out. I immediately switched it off and I rushed it to a local bengkel, a local car workshop, and had the local car mechanic, bush mechanic help me, you know, open the camera. And that's when I discovered that the entire time sweat had been pouring down my arm and into the back of the camera and into the connector there, where it was causing a short circuit of some kind and shorting the camera. So the entire time it was the sweat that was killing the camera. So that was, I think we put it down as a bad design, didn't we, Alex?
We did.
Camera company to blame.
Yes.
That mean you agree with Alex, Bjorn, that the hardest thing about filming in Borneo is the climate?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. You never get used to it. So even for me, who's been living here for 11 years now, it's still very challenging. The heat, and also every day we're heading out into the forest, and it's every day we know it's another big day. It's a big day, and yeah, it's quite intense. It's hard to express in words, really, everything that you experience every day when you're out filming orangutans in the forest. So yeah, the heat is definitely, I'm blanking out now.
One of the words I would like to use actually about filming every day in the forest is the word joy. You know, that is one of the things that, you know, despite all of the challenges, you know, there's so many times where I look sideways at Alex or at Bjorn and we just go, oh my God, this, you know, is so special to be here in this environment and watching you know, this extraordinary, you know, thing, you know, play out in front of us. But yeah, so you know, it's incredibly joyful experience. So, and that makes up for any of the physical issues that we deal with.
I think the physical makes the joy all the more joyful.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree as well. I mean, sorry.
You all enjoyed it? You'd all come back and film more at our centers, despite the creepy crawlies and the sweat?
Oh my God, we'd be there in a flash if we could at the moment.
I think it would take about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
For you, maybe, Bjorn. Take us a little bit longer.
15 minutes, 15 hours. Close enough. But actually, that brings me to another question. On the opposite side of the coin from the biggest challenge, do you guys all have a sort of favorite moment, a memory you look back on and you just smile when you think of the filming process? I see you nodding, Judith. Do you want to give us the first story?
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, there's so many of them, you know, and you know, which is partly how I pitched the series in the past to the you know, the big television networks. I'm like, you know, the minute they see my eyes light up when I describe some of the moments that I've had, you know, being, you know, so lucky to be close to orangutans, because as we know, you know, that's not actually how we want it, you know, even though these kids are going through jungle school, etc. You know, it's all about, you know, getting them habituated away from humans as well. But, you know, in the early stages particularly, you know, we do have that incredible, you know, it's such an extraordinary thing to be able to be close to them. And so, yeah, stories like with my darling little Malika, you know, who is one of my little favorite girls who, you know, I met very early in our first season of filming. And, you know, and she had spent 2 years of her life with a human family. And she was finding it hard to learn to be an orangutan. It was like she really associated with being more of a human at that point. And the boss staff were working so hard to, you know, get her to integrate with the rest of the orangutans. But she would always seek us out occasionally when we were filming. And, you know, we were very careful about our interactions with her, but I did have some very special moments where she would come to me and look into my eyes. And you have that moment where, you know, the moment you look into the eyes of an orangutan, it's like when you have that connection, it is such a special moment. Everybody talks about it. You know, it's like, you know, we are so close. But she would do things like, she would also want to, like, she would take my hand and she would look at the lines on my hand, you know, the palm, and then she would sort of trace the same lines on her own palm as well, and look at me as if to say, oh, you know, you've got the same lines that I've got on my palm, you know. And you have those moments and you just like so gobsmacked by the incredibleness of that connection. You know, you're not speaking words, but obviously there's just this incredible communication going on. So anyway, she has become a very independent little orangutan now, I believe, and, you know, on her way to being, you know, on the list for going back to the wild. So, you know, even though she's had those human moments, I think she's just, you know, she's just an incredible little character.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Everyone who works with orangutans has that story about that sort of spark moment when you first see that connection with these orangutans and how close they are to us. And they are pro communicators, you're right. Not in ways humans expect, but once you get to know them, it's so clear. Thank you for sharing that moment with us.
Thank you.
Bjorn and Alex, do you guys also have a favorite story you want to share with the crowd about orangutans or the process, or just something silly that makes you smile?
Again, there's so many amazing situations. I mean, the first realization that these animals are sentient and they have feelings and they are so much like us. You know, they don't talk, of course, but they speak with their eyes and they speak with their movements and their faces. You know, they're so expressive. And when you realize that and you get to know them, that's an incredibly powerful moment. And I mean, in terms of moments that I remember, I was just looking at the end of that last episode when we had some shots of Casper, and that there was quite a dramatic moment when we went into Cardew Island to get him, and well, actually to get one of to Aroa, I think it was, and he appeared, and suddenly we felt very on edge, and you see from the footage that we literally ran and jumped into the river to escape him, because he's quite a big male. He wasn't happy about us being on his turf. And then the following morning, we needed some shots of him. So I went to Cardew on a little clossock very early in the morning, and it was beautifully peaceful and quiet. And the birds were singing, and it was just incredibly still. And we waited for a few minutes, and then he appeared almost silently, climbing through the canopy. And he sat there on top of a tree, probably, I don't know, 30 meters away, and I had a long lens. I was able to get some lovely shots of him just sitting there, being in his environment. And it was just the contrast from the day before, when we'd felt quite terrified about him, to that moment when we were literally in his environment and he was watching us and we were watching him, and it was quiet and peaceful and tranquil. And it was just looking at it, it was a very powerful moment. That was really beautiful. I'll always remember that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Casper.
It's a positive memory to smile upon. Casper's doing great.
Is he? Good, that's good to hear.
Just showed, just showed he was, a dominant adult male orangutan. He knew how to negotiate his territory.
Absolutely.
Really, walk into their homes. And sorry, I keep tossing the ball around. We have so much to talk about and so little time. So I also want to give Bjorn a chance to share with us if you have a favorite memory as well from the OJS filming process.
Yeah, so I would have to agree with Judith and Alex that there are just far too many experiences. And, but I would say it's, we have this incredible privilege of being able to go in to the center and into the space of the orangutans regularly and over and over and over again. And what I found is that it's a way that that you really start to get to appreciate them in new ways. You're always learning something new about them. Like, they'll always surprise you. You maybe thought you knew orangutans or understood what orangutans are, but then only through observing, going back in and observing more, that you realize what a majestic creature orangutan is. And I think you really start to appreciate them most at the end of the day, like around 4 p.m. when the sun is coming through the canopy and you're exhausted from a day of lugging around heavy equipment, and you have a quiet moment in the forest and everything's just perfect and perfectly lit, and then you look around and you see these creatures around you, and you just have a moment of registering where you are, and it's quite mind-blowing, really, and it's a very beautiful experience that makes you care really deeply also about orangutans, of course. And maybe a small story. Again, there were many, but one that stood out was at the end of season 2 when we released Alba. The Alba release was a big one, and I was among a few lucky ones who were allowed to follow her. And again, we'd previously spent a day and a half traveling to get to the release point. So by the time we arrived at the release point and set it free into the forest, I was already completely exhausted, like beyond exhausted. And then I had the good fortune of being allowed to follow her. And but I had to go by myself. So I had to take all the equipment, the tripod and the camera, and just chase up the mountain behind her. She was off into the hills and into the forest, and at a high speed. It was very hard to catch up. So I caught up with the boss team who were tracking her and just trying to get moments of her up in the forest and to document her back in the wild, to get those priceless moments. You only have, a short window in time to actually capture something. So it's, in the end, she came down and came towards the camera and just stared into the lens. And then she wandered off into the forest, and I felt so incredible in that moment. It was like she came down to acknowledge the situation and then say goodbye. That was very beautiful.
And I call the perfect goodbye. It's very bittersweet, but best for them. That release. Thank you for sharing that moment with us, Bjorn. And I want to apologize to you, Vivi. I know we haven't chatted with you in a while. I don't want to ask you this question though, because working with orangutans every day for 4.5 years, we're going to only talk about that for the rest of the session. Instead, I want to ask you arguably a more important question. Hands down, our most asked question, both through the registration process and the Q&A box here. Everyone is dying to know, how is Benny? Is he still on the diet? And how is his leg after his big fall?
Hello. Thank you so much for the question. Can you hear me, Andrea? Hello.
Yes, we can, Vivi. Take it away.
Hi. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for asking about our heartthrob, Benny. Yeah. He just like taking all the heart of many people. Yeah. So Benny right now is really after his accidents. Benny really well. He recovered very well, and right now Benny has finished his jungle school and waiting for his time going to the island. And we still like seeing Benny eating. I mean, like we try to control his diet still. He has a big appetite as usual.
Has his weight gotten a little bit more healthy though?
Yeah. I think because I think he's really healthy and more. Yeah.
Thanks to the diet.
Yeah.
Bananas for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for that. Also, not only about Benny, just about all the orangutans in general. During this process, they stole the camera, they stole the limelight, they're huge stars. But did you have to do anything different? Did the team have to do anything different to ensure they were safe during this process? It's not every day we have giant cameras in the center.
Also, to make sure, I mean, like, hello, Andrea, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
might be a small lag.
Yeah. Because like even like us human, like camera, it's kind of something like give your attention, and also that like orangutan. So every time our orangutan safety is it's very paramount purpose in this filming, I think. So medical team, also the communication team, technician and babysitter just make sure the safety of our orangutan. And every day when they do a filming, there will always our communication team and also our technician to be there to make sure the safety of the film crew and also the safetyness of the orangutan. Yeah.
Thank you. That's good here, because I mean, and I know, but everyone should know, the safety of the orangutans always comes first for us, for Boss Foundation. So thank you for helping to keep them safe. I see our time is dwindling down. Fortunately, we still have a little bit left, but I want to try to address some of the wonderful questions we've had sent to us in these last minutes to make sure our supporters are heard, because we're so grateful for them. They're the ones who make Orangutan Jungle School possible and all our work possible. So I have a question that is for Judith from Russell. So thank you, Russell. He wanted to know about, on average, how many hours of footage are shot each day in the forest? And then how many hours does it take to make one episode of OJS?
Oh my God. Okay.
About an hour of filming per day. Easy.
It's all in live time, right?
I mean, look,
filming in one day.
One day of filming with both you guys shooting would give us at least 10 hours of filming every day, I would think, of an average. Or more? What, you, Bjorn, your face is saying...
No, I believe it. I believe it.
I mean, that would be about right. And then, yeah, so that would be about right. Approximately 10 hours or more each day.
2 cameras?
2 cameras.
And it's always 2.
Yeah, always. Yeah, but and sometimes it would be, you know, like sometimes we would have both cameras working together on the same scene. Other times we would split up and be in different places. So, you know, that's probably a conservative estimate. So, so for one episode, you know, okay, so we would shoot around 10 days per episode. So, oh my God, so I'm sorry, my mathematics is not that good, but it's quite a lot of footage. But anyway, in answer to Russell, because, you know, one of the tricks of being a good producer on a show like this is to, you know, obviously I would try to spend as much time as I can in the field, but I wasn't there all the time, and I had really good teams there, but we would be very careful about how we logged everything. Like every bit of the footage was logged, and that's how we, you know, and we get it back into our post-production processes, you know, and that's, you know, and we have this really clever logging system, and that's when the magic starts to happen as to how we start to create the episodes. So I hope that kind of answers the question. It's a lot of footage because, as you can imagine, in a show like this, we're not like going, right, action and cut. You know, the guys are pretty much filming most of the time because there's always so much going on. And, you know, it's real classic documentary in that you're observing all the time. But at the same time, they're very clever about, you know, what they decide that they're going to focus on. So, yeah, I hope that gives a wee insight into how we do it.
I think it certainly does. It's me, for sure. Also, while I have you here, Judith, this question is popping up quite a lot, almost as much as the Benny questions. It's in second place. People want to know, will there be more Orangutan Jungle School? Specifically, we're getting a lot of requests for season 3.
Yeah, well, okay, so my answer to that is yes. And I can't say too much more about that because of, you know, the obvious intricacies of how, you know, network broadcasting issues work. But we are definitely, you know, we are kind of teed up to come back and work with Boss. And the only impediment to our process at the moment is the, you know, nightmare situation that we all face at the moment with the you know, the COVID pandemic. So the minute that Indonesia decides to open the borders and also Boss decides that it's safe for us to come in with our very careful protocols on working with orangutans, we'll be back filming.
I see Vivi doing a happy dance in the corner over that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I mean,
lots of viewers are.
You've got no idea how frustrating this is for us. Well, of course you do, darling, because you're in the same situation, you know, with your lockdown. But you know, we just, you know, we are very lucky that the networks that we're working with are being very patient, and they love our series so much that they will, you know, they will wait until the time is right.
The orangutans are too. They're, well, I guess I would say they're not going anywhere, but hopefully they're going to the jungle soon. One day, when it's safe.
Let's say now, like what we're hoping is that when we come back to start filming, the very first scene and the very first sequence is going to be Benny and all his friends, that it's like their time to graduate and go to the island, pre-release island for the first time. So can you imagine how cool that will be?
I'm just excited for them to get to the pre-release island at some point.
I know.
I will say this, many of them are waiting to move, but due to the pandemic, they can't, which I know we've had a few questions asking how the pandemic has impacted our jungle school operations, which is a long and lengthy answer. So I was hoping maybe you can throw this question to Vivi for a quick overview of how life is different right now in these centers due to COVID-19.
So yeah, right now, because the pandemic, we do our best to make sure the orangutan and also the staff not getting infected by the COVID-19. So we just like make sure like we disinfected ourselves before we enter the center and after we come back to the center. And also we like we make the jungle school like shorter right now, because you know we make a group by group for babysitter, for technician, and also for medical team. So yeah, just to make sure like if like something bad happen, we can minimize the people who get this diseases, you know.
To clarify the meaning for everyone watching, you mean by grouping, there's like an A team and a B team. So
yeah.
You're already quarantined and the other team's not exposed.
Yes, that's yeah. Thank you, Andrea.
And same with the orangutan groups, right?
Yes. And no, the orangutan group still going to school like they used to, but the time just shorter right now.
Yeah. So they're not exposed to the different teams. Yeah, but I know it's more work for you and all the staff at the center. So we're so grateful you guys are staying strong through all of this, because there's no work from home when you have orangutans to care for.
No, there's no time from home. Yeah, orangutan still needs to going to school, right? For their hybridization. Yeah.
So important. Thank you for that. Okay, we don't have long left, so I want to throw out at least one more question to our wonderful cinematographers. I had one submitted from Lan, so thank you, Lan. This question is for Alex. She wanted to know if it was easy to capture compelling orangutan footage for the documentary, because orangutans are so beautiful, intelligent, and curious, if just everything they do on camera is movie magic. How do you feel out there?
Movie magic. It can be, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Judith alluded to this before. There are situations when you're filming when things happen in front of your lens and all of a sudden you get goosebumps because something is going on and you could not have planned it. You know, you couldn't even have imagined it in your wild imagination. So when that happens, it's really beautiful. You know, they show us their character and they perform amazing stunts, or you know, the interactions are really unusual or beautiful or touching, you know, and all those situations are perfect for television and perfect for us. It's not easy. No, we've alluded to how physically hard it is to be in the jungle and film, but it's all reliant on their characters, and of course they have an abundance of personality, and that makes our job to capture the stories. That makes it quite easy. Yes. It's sometimes you just turn up in the jungle and you point your camera in their direction and things happen in front of you, and that's really special. And of course, there are other occasions when you go out there and it's super hot, and they're all lying down on their backs or just curled up asleep, and you just have to wait there for a while. And there have been occasions when Bjorn and I have looked at each other and gone, well, there's nothing happening today. We'll go home and have a rest for a couple of hours. So it's really variable. But yes, of course, it's based on their personalities. And we hope that comes through.
Would you say being there in person, the personalities as individuals shine through very clearly, that very quickly you get to understand, Benny as an individual and Valentino as an individual. They're just like people. Yes,
they're people. It takes a few days when you're there, and all of a sudden, you see it's just like humans. They are just like us. That is the beauty of them.
Thank you.
They're like kind humans, actually. They're like really peaceful, kind humans. Yeah. Never met a bad orangutan.
You sure?
Hang on. What's his name? What's his name, that bad one?
Jigger.
Oh, Jigger. Oh, he's just he just had a bad time for a while.
Yeah, he had a bad childhood.
Bit of counselling, he'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
Do you guys want to make this your final story before the session's over? I'm sure everyone's curious now. Who's this orangutan and what happened?
Jigga. I would say that I totally agree with Alex that these orangutans, they all have these incredible personalities. They're all different and unique in their own ways, special in their own ways, and it really shines through. And you really get to appreciate that. And sometimes they might, let's just say I only had one experience where an orangutan charged at the camera or at the tripod and came out of the bush and went straight for me, and I had the tripod and then he darted off again. So that was the one time when I felt like I was actually that there was a bit of an intention there to bite me in the leg or something. Apart from that, you don't get any really aggressive, or I haven't experienced much of that myself.
As you all said, they're individuals, different personalities that vary. And I always like to keep in perspective too. They all come from some traumatic past, right? They're not with us for a happy reason, unfortunately. We have no idea what their memories hold or how they feel about humans. On that note, you're running low on time. So I wanted to give everyone an opportunity, if you had any parting words to your adoring fans who have sat with us for 2 episodes of Orangutan Jungle School and listened to your fascinating stories. Any final words?
Well, my final words would be that, I hope anybody who's watching today would think about making some donations to BOSS. It's tough times for everybody at the moment, but obviously this is such an important thing on my mind, that I know that BOSS is struggling, because of the pandemic. And anyone who loves orangutans, it's like, okay, what can we do to keep things going there until we can get out of this mess? So, my love for orangutans is so strong, and so I would encourage anybody who can to make a donation, and we will pay it back enormously with our next series with lots of gorgeousness, so that you can see more about what happens in this amazing place.
Thank you for that, Judith. It's very sweet and very necessary. Hope to have you guys back soon too. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you, everyone for your time. We really appreciate it, both in filming Orangutan Jungle School for years and putting up with the mosquitoes and the orangutans sometimes.
Love it. We
and
love
your time today. really appreciate it.
Andrea, can I just give a quick shout out?
Of course.
I just wanted to mention the big thing that struck me in the last couple of seasons of Orangutan Jungle School is just how devoted the staff at BOSS are. You know, it's kind of, I think it's very underrated, but the vets and the staff at BOSS, the management and the veterinary staff and all the technici and the babysitters, they are so devoted. It's you know, it's a 24/7 job. It's not a thing they go there for money. It's pure love, you know, and I think they do the most incredible job. And I just want everybody to know that they are amazing.
Yeah. Well said, Alex. That is so true.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank
and
you.
I just wanted to say also that working with Alex and Judith has been an incredible experience for me, and Alex and I have spent a lot of time together in the forest and bonded over the years, and we keep in touch on WhatsApp, and we follow each other's life stories outside the jungle as well. And yeah, so I would really hope to see you guys again soon, and I miss all of you because it's not easy being you know, in this kind of environment of isolation. You know, I miss these times of being together, and especially with you guys, it's been a big part of my life. So I would hope that we return to some kind of normal where we can see each other again and work together.
For sure, Bjorn. Look, we can't wait to get back either.
Yeah, we're definitely a family.
This is so heart touching and so warm. Guys, I hate to be the person to end this, but unfortunately I have to wrap things up. Thank you all so much for that. To all of our amazing supporters and fans of Orangutan Jungle School, I want to say you can find more information about the series and to watch more episodes on orangutanjungleschool.com. You can find information based off the country you're in. There you can also find out more information about orangutans and how to support BOSS. You can find out how you can do a virtual adoption, which includes a donation to us, or if you just want to donate as well. All the information is there on orangutanjungleschool.com. Also, if you're not ready for the orangutan fun to be over, we're moving on from Orangutan Jungle School, but we still have so much more to celebrate on this International Orangutan Day. So we're taking this webinar over to the BOSS Foundation YouTube page, where we will be streaming live another exciting webinar about our rehabilitation process, release process, and forest conservation, followed by a concert jam sort of session to party the night away. So that's going to be on the BOSS Foundation YouTube page immediately following this. So thank you all for joining us and tuning into Orangutan Jungle School. And a huge thank you to the Orangutan Jungle School team, Judith, Bjorn, Alex, and Vivi. It's been a pleasure having you guys here today. I just wish you were actually in the same room so I could hug you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great moderation.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Vivi.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.